My next guest is the RNC Rapid Response Director. You may see his work at RNC Research on Twitter. Tommy Pigott, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
All right, so we put up the tweet just to prove the point before we went to the ladies of The View. Even though Jennifer Hermendy had been on social media saying this was not an issue related to regulations, you heard them say it. It's Donald Trump's fault, and some of these people got what they deserved.
Just unreal. I think, though, it's part and parcel that the administration feels. I mean, there's a reason why Pete Buttigieg took as long as he did to go to East Palestine. Does anyone think for a second, if it wasn't in a Biden district, it would have taken them almost 3 weeks to do anything about this? Of course they would have acted sooner. Joe Biden took 19 days to even tweet about it. That's the issue here. The issue has been the lack of response from this administration, and their bias is being shown where they don't care about people if you didn't vote for them. And so I think The View actually is showing a common thread with the Biden administration, as demonstrated by their lack of action and the fact that they're spreading lies every single chance they can get about this train wreck.
Yeah, and they shouldn't be upset at Donald Trump for going there, right? I mean, if you guys are going to be late to the game, and when you're the head of the Department of Transportation, this is your job, okay? I said it earlier to Carol Markowitz. I get it. You know, presidents show up to, for the photo op. It's not like Biden, if he went, was going to put on a hazmat suit and start testing the water. But your choice of photo ops says a lot about you, and he'd rather be over in Ukraine promising a blank check to foreigners. You know what? Donald Trump went into that town. He brought resources with him. If they want to say he's buying votes, well, at least he's doing it with his own money. And then he went into a McDonald's and saw a bunch of cops and firefighters said, "You're on me," and they're mocking him for that. They're actually mocking him for that. I mean, I guess East Palestine doesn't have, champagne and caviar flowing. They don't have the Met Gala. So the president went to where people went to hang out with regular people.
Well, think about the coverage that got. Think about the look on people's faces when they saw people coming to East Palestine and actually listening to them, drawing attention to this. That's the power a president should have. That's the power Biden has as the sitting president, the ability to draw attention to an issue, the ability to bring coverage to an issue, the ability to say, I'm listening to you and I care about you. And Biden has made clear that he just does not care. There's no other way that you can look at this. The lack of attention being paid to this crisis, the fact it took 19 days for him to even tweet about it. Just tweet, have his staff mock something up that he can put his name on. 19 days. If it happened in a blue community, I can guarantee you it would not have taken that long. And I think all you have to look at is the look at people's faces, the trouble that they're going through, to know how impactful it would have been to draw attention to this crisis. And the Biden administration, instead of doing that, has tried to deflect blame, has tried to cover up the crisis. And now Biden still has no plans to go 20 days later after this train derailment.
Well, the truth is that the only reason why resources are flowing in, the reason why the Secretary of Transportation went, the reason why the media is covering is because Trump went, right? They would have ignored this story and just moved on from it, passing coverage, and out the door they would have gone. But because Trump created a spectacle there and embarrassed Biden, he's got no choice now. And, if I were a Democrat operative, I'd be saying, sir, you need to win Pennsylvania and Ohio. You've already lost Florida to Trump or DeSantis, right? Florida's locked up. It's GOP territory. You might not be able to pull it off again without Ohio. Now, granted, Biden won without Ohio. It's a rarity. Ohio's a must-win state. But this affects people in parts of PA as well. If Biden loses Ohio and PA because of really bad optics, and sometimes that's all it takes, he only has himself to blame.
Well, I also want to stress that I think this is more than optics because of the power that a president should have to draw attention to an issue, because of the power the president should have in making sure agencies are paying attention. What signal does it send to executives in these agencies down the line when the president doesn't even tweet about an issue? It's not a priority for those people. They take their direction from the president. The president sets the tone all the way on down, and Joe Biden has failed. And really, it's only been Republicans talking about this. You have J.D. Vance, who's been making an issue of this for weeks now, talking about the issues that he's seeing in the water, talking about livestock, listening to people in East Palestine. Biden has not done any of that. And again, it's showing the fact that he doesn't care about people if you don't vote for him. He doesn't care about people if he doesn't have a talking point to blame a Republican for it. That's why he ignores things from Afghanistan to the border and now East Palestine. Joe Biden is a career politician who spent his entire time in Washington as a member of the Senate deflecting responsibility for his decisions. And unfortunately, he's doing the same as president of the United States. And the devastation he's caused because of that, I hope and pray it's going to make him a one-term president when we defeat Joe Biden in 2024.
Yeah, and, to hammer home the point, you could see an almost disdain. Look, it's not just East Palestine, okay? These states that Democrats have been trying to convince, blue-collar voters, rural voters, that you should come back to the Democrat Party because the white working class was the base of the Democrat Party at some point, and they felt abandoned by Democrats, so they found a home in the Republican Party. When they sort of look down their noses at these, and you see it in the media, you see it in these sell a quarter, they just think these people are kind of beneath them, and then they can't understand why they've completely lost that demographic. I guess maybe their new Democrat coalition doesn't need them anymore.
And it's so many different people that Biden treats like this. You have pro-life Americans, which Karine Jean-Pierre called semi-fascists. You have people that want border security because fentanyl's coming across the border that he's saying are inhumane and threatening the American dream. You have parents that want to have a say in their children's education, and he's calling them terrorists and putting them on a terrorist watch list. It's issue after issue after issue. And the ironic part is that those Americans that are fighting for a better education, fighting for a secure border, fighting for people of East Palestine, they know a lot more about what's going on in this country than the elites in Washington, than the elites in New York. They're a heck of a lot smarter than Joe Biden and his administration. And I think in 2024, they're going to have a massive wake-up call like they had when Republicans retook the House, saying that Americans have had enough of this.
Well, I apologize for the technical difficulties with some of the clips. We have to have my team send it to you. Do we have the Jennifer Hameni clip? Do we have it now? We don't have it. You're going to have to send it to Tommy because I need to see it on RNC Research because I will admit to you that when I don't have time to edit a lot of stuff, I'm like, hey, what's on what's on RNC Research? And the one you have up there of my favorite one, and again we're having technical difficulties, is Pete Buttigieg saying, "I've been here hours into this." You haven't been there for 20 days. What are you?
Yeah, it took him 10 days to even comment on it. I mean, the idea that he's been there since day one is flat out false. I really honestly think Pete Buttigieg didn't comment on this because he didn't know how to deflect blame for it yet. He's another career politician who's failed his way upwards. It's amazing in the Democratic Party. You fail at a smaller job. You couldn't fill a pothole as mayor of South Bend. They promote you to transportation secretary. And that's really what's going on in cabinet official after cabinet official. But yeah, exactly right. Pete Buttigieg acting like he's been there from day one when he hasn't at all.
Today his orange safety vest had the folds on it from being just taken out of the package. I got to leave it there. Thanks for joining us. We're going to send you that clip right now when we come back.
All right. I'll keep an eye out for it for sure. Thanks for having me on.